Okay, tonight we got a pretty lengthy agenda tonight, so we'll be right into it. First item on the agenda are the minutes. Is there any amendments or any corrections to the minutes? Any corrections in the minutes?
I make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and have a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda are accounts. No vote is required on accounts. Do we have any questions on our accounts? Yes.
One correction.
One correction on the account. What is it?
On page B4, item 14. That actually should have been the purchase of boring rods heads for the trencher, not repairs.
I have a question on the first page of accounts, number 22 down there. It said, that's just partial payment for ATA.
Yes, we made a partial payment already. The general fund paid all of the initial payment. So this is the final payment, and this is how much the general fund left, and the remainder was paid by the utility department. So their amount was much higher than ours, but we already paid about $6,900 initially already.
What line item is that?
For the officers.
Number 22, Alexander Thompson Armour.
Okay. This is the final payment?
Yes.
What does that usually run us a year?
I think this year was about $26,000 total.
No, what, 11 or 12?
Well, see things. Well, I'd be scared to even answer you to tell you the truth without the numbers in front of me.
Do we have to have a single page job?
We did not have to have a single auditor.
Single page job?
Yeah, so we will next year, chances are, because of the highway project, the street shape, so that's $3,500 by itself that we did not have to pay.
Are there any other questions on the accounts? Okay. Next item on the agenda are delegations. Are there anybody here that would like to address the board tonight on any matter? Yes, ma'am.
I got nominated for spokesperson in the utility department and public works. We're asking the board that, for the Christmas holidays, if we could change Christmas Eve on Wednesday to the Friday following and be off Thursday and Friday. We are also having a Christmas, dinner tomorrow at 12 o'clock at the maintenance shop, turkey, ham, dressing, and hoe fixing. And we cordially invite any of you that would like to come by and have, a plate with us if you would like to.
Only if we vote for it.
No, I told them I would ask, but, we do this every year. We have, more food than we can eat. So if you would like to come by.
Jim, would you explain kind of how our holidays are done?
Well, the city ordinance, which is passed by y'all, specifically states anytime that a holiday happens on weekend, if it happens on Saturday, you take Friday. If it happens on Sunday, you take the Monday. Of course, this one, being Christmas Eve is on Wednesday, Christmas Day on Thursday, that doesn't even come into play. We actually take the actual holiday. The only thing that I would say I know is an issue with this is garbage is scheduled to run on Friday and recycling is scheduled to run on Friday. So, it's been advertised and scheduled to run that way, so that would be something we had to make sure we got changed for people that have garbage on the street. It is a payroll week, so it is a short week trying to get payroll out. Some other things, of course, I think most employees have scheduled the way it is, because that's the way everybody was expecting it, so.
One last thing, I spoke to each individual employee, from both your office, our office, all of Carter's people, and all of our people. Carter can attest to this, David can attest to it, and Alicia. And that's just what we would all like to do, but it's up to y'all. But that's what we'd like to do, especially for the people that go out of town and the employees would like.
What have you typically done if it fell on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, say? Did you give a Monday?
To my knowledge, we've always taken Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on the actual days unless it happened on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And we got time to get notices in the paper about the garbage and the recycling.
It'd been much easier if we would've done this last month than now, but, you know, it's y'all's call.
How much business do you do on, say, the day before a holiday? I mean, I just wondered how busy.
It just varies. It's hard to say. You know, up until just a few years ago, we didn't get Christmas Eve. We always worked. I don't know a lot about it. It's probably been 5, 6, maybe a little over than that ago.
Before I came here.
Before, you know, before we worked Christmas Eve. So, you know,
But like I say, this is in our charter, or in our, but in our.
well, policy says the only time you change it is on a Saturday or Sunday. So,
That's the handbook policy?
yeah, that's the city ordinance, that's the city code. Of course, y'all got the right to override it. I mean, it's well within y'all's power to do that.
On the recycling, if we didn't do the recycling on Friday, thinking about all the Christmas wrapping paper, et cetera, could that be run on the following Monday?
I talked to Carter about that one.
We can, I mean, we can run it, you know, we can change it up anytime, we just have to put it in the paper before ahead of time.
Give it longer notice.
We put it on the website, and then we put it on the website, and, we get it in the paper, we can't get it this week, maybe next week, maybe Wednesday soon. We can get it next week, maybe, that'd give us,
We could run 2 weeks actually,
get 2
because
weeks before
we'll
the
come out on Wednesday before Christmas.
do you think you can handle the load on the Monday following the weekend?
I think we can handle it.
What about you and your staff and your office and everything? Y'all, is there anything that's got to be done on that Friday that can wait till Monday? Nothing? Okay. What about your office? What about your office? What do you
Well, then
think?
we talked to all my employees, it would be okay. But I had to come to me. In fact, I got one on vacation on Friday because she wanted Friday off, she went ahead and put down for vacation.
Well, you're the manager, so you run the show, so how do you feel
I
about
don't know if we run the show today on this or not.
Well, and I certainly understand what they're talking about.
Well, it would have been easier with a little more notice. I mean, really, we should have.
Yeah, I don't know how is.
But we can still make it work.
And then you've got to do the payroll, is what I'm asking. I know the payroll comes out of your office.
Payroll's gonna be easier actually than by
Because
taking off
it's giving
Friday.
you a day.
Okay.
It's giving you Thursday.
Give me an extra work.
Yeah.
How would you just leave? Because you got some people who've already took leave. You got some people that took their leave on Friday, already put leave slips in on Friday. Now that's not a leave slip, that's a holiday.
Holiday.
So then you got some people that now we're going to have to adjust and try to deal with that 24th. You're gonna know what's fixing to happen to you. As soon as we change this tonight, we're gonna have leave slips coming in on the 24th.
Yeah, that's gonna be the issue. As soon as we make, Friday as a holiday, we're gonna keep them off on Christmas Eve.
You're gonna have people putting their annual leave slips on the 24th, and that's an issue too that we gotta deal with.
So, I don't know.
So if they're not putting leaves, some of them would put leaf slips in on the 26th.
I've already got.
You already got leave
Now they're
slips on.
gonna take those away when they work,
And put them on the 24th.
if they
Well,
want the 24th. They may
If
not.
they want the 24th, yeah.
But my feeling on that is if they're asking for their Christmas Eve to come on Friday, and if we pass, we're going to have to write the leave slips for the 24th. You gotta give and take somewhere. You gotta give and take. I mean, if they want their Christmas Eve to be on Friday, that's what we're gonna do. If you can't have it both ways, so, you know,
I mean, I can deal with it either way. I mean,
Well, the department has to function, so on the 24th, as manager, y'all need to manage it, make sure that you don't,
Let
you
two
know,
meet.
don't-
they do need to put in leave. They need to handle it, they can't let everybody
That's
take
exactly
leave.
right, that's what I'm saying.
They can't let
I
everybody.
tell my clerks, only one gets off any one day.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I got one off the 17th, which is next Friday, and I got one off the 26th. And then I'm off the following week some days, but, you know, that's after Christmas, that's neither here nor there.
The manager would have to motion that we switch the days. With understanding that the management has got to make sure that their offices are staffed on Christmas Eve.
Till close.
Till
Till
close. Just like it was a regular day. Because the effect of what they're asking for is
It is a
their Christmas
regular day.
Eve to be on the Friday instead of, and so they got a 4 day. And that's the way it'll be. They have to come and stay till it's,
What's going to happen next year?
we just make sense.
Well, I think it's gonna, I think this year, this year we get out, next year, we're gonna have to sit here and decide this, and the department heads, during the budget time, they decide how we're gonna do this and get this to y'all, so we can, because we're gonna roll, next year, we're gonna roll around, it's not gonna be a problem next year, because we're gonna roll around on Friday, so it's not gonna be a problem. Be Thursday, Friday, it won't be a problem next year.
Well, I'm not,
So we 4 or 5 years before it's gonna be a problem.
I'm with you, and leave it to the discretion of the department heads as to how many that you can allow to change their leave slips or add a leave slip or whatever for, the Wednesday.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion to have a second, that, the holiday will be switched from New Year's Eve to Christmas, I'm sorry, to Christmas Eve until to the 26th. We'll swap the 24th to the 26th. So the 25th and 26th are the holidays the city will have this year, which will mean, and then have a second on that. Any further discussion?
Just to make sure that we do get it in the paper for all the citizens, that they understand about their garbage and their recycling.
So garbage pickup for Thursday.
And Friday.
And Friday will be Wednesday. So you're gonna have Thursday,
Recycling will move to Monday, I assume.
and we're gonna move recycling to Monday.
We got 2 weeks to put it in there.
So recycling will be moved to Monday.
One thing I'd like to suggest is each department, that everybody knows their cans are coming when, put papers on the windows when they come and take bills on the doors.
I'll put out a flyer with all our drive-throughs.
I'll put it on the bills when they go out.
And you put it on the doors, so
We'll see.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify no. Motion carries. Any other delegations would like to address the board at this time? Okay. Next item on the agenda. Discuss and consider the bids received on the downtown enhancement project. The bids are overestimated on the overestimated amount. Therefore, the board must either consider increase on the local funds for the project or cut project scope and rebid in hopes of receiving bid within this estimated budget. Randy McKinnon's here from TLM, and I'll let him come forward. And Jim, I think you had some options there. I think right now, what we got Randy here, and I think some of the boards have questions. I think it'd be a good time to let them ask the questions, and then Jim can, on this, can give the options we have on the funding. So if anybody has any questions, I'll let them address, Randy.
I'll just add, thank you, Mayor, for that, that's a good summary. We'd opened bids last Tuesday, December 2nd. We had 3 bidders. Our low bidder was E&T Construction, our E&T contractor, local bidder. And then we had bids from Ford Construction, Dyersburg, and Rose Construction from Covington. Our low bidder was $830,887, which was about $150,000 over what we had estimated. That's what we're here to discuss tonight. We had talked about some options earlier, in case we did come over budget. We were expecting it to be a local budget, a little bit more than I was expecting it to be, but we do have a couple of options, and I don't know if you want to deal with
Them
them.
guys, I think they all have copies of the option, what you sent us, don't you, Jim?
I didn't send them the thing with the details, I did, but I did. In your package, you've got under number D. We won't talk about the money right now, let's talk about the project. D2 shows you this. D3 shows you the details of E&T. D4 is an estimate if we delete the last block, which is the front of Fricks's Medical Building. Gives you a different estimate, the savings. Estimate B on page D5 gives you the estimate, and we stop at the red light at Washington. So you have, now, if we take A or B, and we'll have to go back and rebid it. And as Randy says, these are just guesstimates. When you rebid a project, you have no idea actually what the savings might be. Through further discussion, I think maybe we have sort of, for lack of a better word, are not looking at rebidding the project. We're trying to work within the existing bid, I think, the general consensus. So with that, there are a couple options that Randy did throw to us, and I did forward those to you. Most of y'all, a couple I talked to individually. There's been discussion about landscaping, garbage cans. Randy, I think, said one more thing about some changing the brick pavers that are part of the sidewalk back to regular concrete. There's a savings there, but there's also an aesthetic value to those brick pavers. So, but I think that's where we are right now to discuss. We want to move forward the project as bid, or do we want to make some changes?
One question that I had when we were looking at the plans, and that was the width of the street after we get everything. There was some confusion about 22, 24 feet, 22 and a half, about a foot on either side if we needed it. That the bump outs went out farther we wanted them to. And I like, where are we? How much room are we gonna have once you line the street, if you line the street down the center, on each side for cars?
I know we had originally talked about not moving the curbs. And I think at one of the other meetings I came to, I said, well, the curbs may move 2 or 3 inches, and, you know, there's a little controversy there. But what you have now is nothing is consistent. You've got, I don't think you have 2 storm drain inlets that match all the way through town. The curb line is very, you know, and as you get down the west side of town, it obviously narrows down a lot. And we're losing a couple of parking places down the very west end. But what we did was we set a center line and gave it 12-foot driving lanes all the way through and 8-foot parking spaces. And that's a good standard. We could have gotten away, I mean, you can look at it however you want to. You could have, say you have 9-foot parking spaces and 11-foot driving lanes. Through a downtown, 12 feet is a wide driving lane. You know, at 15 miles an hour, people usually going through town. And then the 8-foot parking space is about what you have now. But we maintained that through town and then let the curbs fall wherever they fall. So they may move just a little, but it's really insignificant. I don't think anybody even noticed it, but it's going to create a consistent line through town.
So it is 24.
You've got 24 feet of driving
Okay.
width, yes, 12 feet each side. When you get to the very west end, it does taper down, and you lose that, and I think we ended up with a 7-foot parking space and 11-foot driving lane right in front of. Right.
We did what we're doing away with parking on both sides.
Yeah, both sides.
I think we did away with on one side. I think we did away with parking, did we?
I think, let me.
Right now, the drawing that's sitting down there has parking on both.
We lose,
But it's offset.
I think, 1 or 2 spaces on both ends. Both
Yeah, I think we have to lose some spaces. I think we lose some spaces because of the handicap, accessibility to the handicap.
There's 2 spaces on both sides.
Okay.
I think now there may be 3 or 4, I can't remember.
Sorry.
3 or 4 now. I can't remember on each side.
But then I think we're
There's
also.
more than there should be.
Yes, there's more than there should be.
Yeah.
But we're losing the ones at Front Street and.
The reason for that really is that not making a little wider driving space now, because we're not our ramp is not going to be the widest parking place.
That's right.
Correct?
Right.
Now, the current parking spaces are on a little over 7 feet.
This morning I went down there and measured myself early. Most of the parking places up around the courthouse, from the curb to the backside of the line, is 7 foot 3 inches. So we're going to 8 foot. So the parking places actually are going to get bigger. Now the driving lane right there has to be right now 26 feet. But by the time you take off foot, you still got the same width from curb to curb. It just changes sort of where it is. Where nobody can park in that 7 foot parking space really. Most times people are hanging out over that line a little bit. So as long as we got 24 foot of pavement, I think we're all happy. That meets the zoning law as far as what our pavement streets are supposed to be. I don't think anybody's got a problem as long as we have 24 foot of pavement traffic lanes.
Right.
And I think at the intersections where we have the concrete islands, we have 25 to 26 on most of those.
They're not supposed to bump out the same as the.
No, the bump out doesn't come out quite as far as the parking does.
The bump out covers two things. It keeps people from parking on that corner and blocking the view of cars at the intersection, but it also protects those cars that are parked there. It gives them protection. But if you make them the full width of the parking, it does feel a lot tighter than it should, so we typically pull those back.
I for one don't want to even look at the options of eliminating either one of the blocks because I think you've got to work from the whole project going all the way to the overhead bridge. Or it's not gonna look, you never get the rest done at any later date. So that's just my thought. We got to figure out how to.
I'm with you, Alderman Smith. I think we've got to do the whole thing. If we start, we don't finish it, it might be 6, 18 years and more than
They'll never get finished.
My only issue is, when we started this project, we're talking about $200,000 in local money. And now we're up to, $460,000 in local money, which is about $260,000 more than we started with. We're gonna have to come up with that somewhere, and I think we just need to start looking, because we've already bought the horse, so to speak.
And part of it we did to ourselves because the 200,000 was not going all the way to free. We kept sneaking it that way.
Okay, but then I think our soft max, the state changed some rules on how they do business too, that hurt us. But I think we just need to see if we can save a little money somewhere and go ahead and do it. I don't know, the brick pavers, I think aesthetically, if you take those out, you ruin the looks of what you're doing. I think it's kind of like you're cutting out your look. So I think the only thing we can look at is maybe if we want to do something about the landscaping and do that ourselves, or anything like that, the stuff that we can do something with the trash bins. I don't know about trash, but it seems kind of high to me. I haven't bought any of these trash bins, but I thought if we could, cut just a little bit, and that way we got some little extra money out there if we need it, then we could do the trash bins at the end of the project, maybe the landscape for itself. I thought about that. I don't know how the other board members feel.
I think your notes unmatched mine. Landscaping, trees, shrubs, daylilies was $18,257. It's pretty high. That some things we could maybe do ourselves, labor, and you on the trash cans. I've never seen a trash can that I wanted for $2,235.
They're not stressed.
They are. And I can't in good faith ask anybody to pay $2,000 for any trash.
Now, be fair about the trash cans, we wanted to match what we've had, what we got for the park.
We never even bought a trash can.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say, those were selected by a group, and they are mounted in concrete, they're anchored, and they're not gonna get stolen, and they've got, lids that are not gonna be stolen. I mean, they're high end.
That they are,
Obviously.
I gotta give them credit, they're there, they're not going.
Nice garbage.
They're nice garbage.
And they're very much seen. They're very, I mean, on the side, they're an item that,
You want to look at it.
that is there. They're almost a part of it. They're almost as important as the light fixture,
With the trees, there were 8 of them, and they were running, I think, $1,400 to $1,500 a tree. That, I know it involves getting the ground ready and doing a bunch of stuff with the grown trees, basically, they're putting
contractors bid, they bid line items different. And like the trees, there was, you know, the one was bid from all the way from $1,300 to, is, I think, is one area that down to $300 and something dollars. I mean, if you look at line items, this thing, good example is the person that won the bid on the trash cans, bid trash cans at 2,300, somewhere around there? 22. And then the high bidder who bid those trash cans over $3,000. I mean, when they do this, it's gonna be different prices.
So they got their profit market.
Market,
They don't want to see where to spend their money. They don't want to see where the cows are. So they move it around, and I understand that. They got.
And I think that's kind of where we got it in on this one, so.
I think they gotta make their profit. They're not gonna show you where the markup is, and I understand what they're doing.
Well, they got it.
Yeah, I'm not making all of those five.
No.
And a lot of those things like landscaping or subcontract.
Yeah. But anyway.
Question that you brought to me on the phone the other day when we were talking about this, Randy, about, what were you telling me about the DEB?
Minority bid.
Did so much have to be a percentage of this?
Right, I think our DDE goal on this was, what, 14%?
That's Title VI stuff.
It's disadvantaged business, and because it's federally funded, and there's a whole method in how that's calculated, the contractor has to meet that 14% DDE. And sometimes, I have no idea who used who for that. Sometimes they use gravel haulers, and sometimes there's landscapers, but I don't know where they put their DDE. But there's a few things, if we start taking things out, that we'll have to talk to the bidder and make sure they can do that, still meet their DDE, number one, and then we'll have to talk to TDOT and make sure they're gonna be okay, because they get real funny about changing bids.
Well, if it's gonna create an issue, you know, I'm like this, and I don't wanna change anything where I have to go back and rebid stuff. And we discussed it, we might do some stuff and change it, might make them wanna do something like that. But, you know, at the same token, you know, we just have to talk to them and see, because if there's gonna be an issue, then we'll sit down with the contractor, you and them, and go from there. That might be where we need to start anyway.
You can make up to a certain percentage change without having to rebid, is that correct?
They'll allow you, yeah, well, we'll have to award the contract as it was bid, knowing that we're gonna change order it out later.
Yeah.
And they'll let you change order certain amounts without, you can go to 10% of the contract without having to get going all the way to the commission level. But, if you go beyond that, then it can still happen, it just gets a lot more complicated.
I don't think we'll be doing more than 10%. The only thing we're looking at is the shrubs and the trees and the trash, which I think is the biggest thing. But it looks like about 46,000, 47,000.
I think about 27,000. The shrubs and everything, Donna, you got numbers there,
I
about
got
18,257,
18,257 on that.
and 8,900 on the garbage can.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, so I think it's total about $27,000, that's what we're talking about here, so that's not.
That's labor that's the trees, the labor and everything.
Right.
That's their total bid.
Yeah, but
And they do have to maintain them for a year, make sure they live for a year.
if we have, let's just say we did it ourselves, we still gonna have to buy those trees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to
We're
buy
still gonna have
them.
to buy garbage cans, and it's still not, you're not saving that much.
We're not gonna save, and we may be better off just go ahead and do it, forget about it, and not save anything, and let them keep them up for a year and replace them. But some of the shrubbery, I just really don't like what's going down. I mean, the daylilies and stuff, they don't, you know, just some of the stuff I just don't, I mean, I didn't pick them, so that's just one of the factors, but we're gonna, anyway.
We're gonna do it, let's do it right, make it look
We
right.
can stay here all night long and talk about it. If we got some different choices on some of that shrubbery, I might be thinking a little different. Somebody,
Who did?
We're a long way from putting in shrubs, if y'all want to have.
Yeah,
Do you hear me?
Well, I like to, while we're here, the county mayor's here, and I think he's very much a part of this conversation too. He'd like to come up. He can please come up and, because I think really and truly, we're gonna have to try to work together on, because I think we talked about tonight, some things that we do is different could very well affect their project, how their project looked, and vice versa, so they definitely won't have it.
I just got a question right now, like I heard 7 foot, 7.5 foot, 8 foot on parking space, what's it gonna be in front of the courthouse? And on the other side,
It's, in front of the courthouse,
it's gonna be 8 foot front cars, 8 foot across on the other side, okay.
You got, when I said the courthouse, that's probably one of our biggest areas.
The widest part.
It's for the court, is the courthouse over, that one section, that one block of the courthouse is probably our biggest area.
That's the only question I have, but, you know, did you take the brick pavers out of ours also, or have you yet?
Well, I've got good prices.
Well, I mean, we don't put, if they put the brick pavers in there, we put the brick pavers in ours, they're gonna take it out, and that take ours out also, I think it all has.
that's your,
Yeah, well, I think that's the reason you're absolutely right, we need to.
You be consistent on
So-
what they're saying.
You're suggesting they leave it out of theirs, or?
I don't
I think we want to keep by.
We want to keep it paid.
We want to keep it by.
I just threw that out as an option.
I think that's the look I really don't, from everybody's opinion, that's the look we don't want to lose that part. So,
There was one other thing that may not seem very much planned at all, but it was a bump out that's on the brook. And we come not in Maine, but we came down, we bumped out by the alley here in the middle.
Larry Kenzie's office.
It didn't seem to, that just didn't seem to go right there. I don't know.
It's just there, like I said, to protect that car parked in that parallel parking space.
Jim, yeah, I don't know, man. We might all talking about borrowed money.
I guess we'll talk about.
I get the checkbook out.
I just want to address whatever. My understanding is we can't really cut anything of this right now. We have to change orders, cut it out. So we'll have to accept the bid as it is, and then if we're gonna change anything, I would do change orders.
I think that's what Randy's saying, yes. We'll have to
No more
actually-
than 10%.
Well, we need to get, we have to get that approved by TDOT.
So basically, we're sitting here talking about nothing, we can't do anything, either we either decide if we want to award the bid or we don't want to award it. Is that what we need to do?
At this
That's
point,
first step.
yes.
I make a motion to award the bid.
Now, before we do that, at some point, either as part of that motion or another motion right afterwards, we got to discuss where that money's coming from.
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion that we award the bid, and I'm assured that we don't have the money to cover this in our back pockets right now. And I'm gonna say, what do we got in capital? We're gonna get from capital outlay, how much we got, not without capital outlay anymore, it's,
Okay. If you go back and look at page D1 of your package, I tried to come up with some places where there's pots of money y'all can get to fund the cost overrun. Now you gotta realize, because of where we are in the budget year, and where this project's gonna be, part of it actually is in the current budget year. Before we get done, it's gonna part of it be in the next budget. So it's always hard to budget for the project, but when it comes down to it, we got $200,000 in the current year budget. You're gonna come up with about another $205,000 to fund the project as it sits. So that's the number we're playing with right now. Numbers 1 through 6 under there sort of explains some possible places you can get that $205,000. Some of them I don't like, but I tried to give you all the options and let y'all decide where you want to use the money from. Keith came up with the one about the street paving, which I think is number 4 on the list. There is $98,000 general fund street paving that would normally be used between now and June 30, that has not been spent yet, that y'all could actually take and pull into this project. And say that's 98 of the 205 right there. There's some other places you can get some of this other money, but because, you know, it's earmarked for certain things, anything you take has to be made up at some point. Now, number 6, of course, is always borrowing money to finish the project, or to do it.
Jim, what would be your, if you had to recommend, let's say we cut a little bit, so say up 200,000 or a little under, where would you go? What do you think is our best option?
Well, I talked to Carter about paving, and he said right now he doesn't have nothing really pressing between now and June 30. So I think the first amount of money I would take would be the $98,000 for the street paving and general fund. He still leaves him about 37 in street aid, that he could do a small project, but that's also to buy gravel and culverts and that kind of stuff too. So it's not like we're running into nothing, he does have a little money left in street aid. So I take that 98,000, and then the remainder, I would think, leave the reserve for the fire truck, and we may still have to borrow money to buy a fire truck next year, budget year anyway, but I'd leave that alone for right now, I wouldn't want to borrow any money. I would either take it from the ECD money balance, or from the general capital outlay, the other remaining amount.
So we got 465,000, I say take it out of general fund capital outlay,
You can take the 98 and then the balance out of general fund capital outlay.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that in my motion, that we take the 98,000 from the street, and the remainder from the capital outlay, general fund.
How we always try to keep roughly 400, I guess this is open for discussion. Didn't we always try to keep, over 400,000 or so? That capital outlay is kind of our rainy day.
The capital outlay funds is the rainy day funds. We've always tried to keep roughly about a $400,000 balance when we start the budget year.
This poll.
During some budget years, we do something like a small portion.
I think we're in a rainy day right here.
It's forward right now.
Anything we spend on this, and that is the money that normally would roll into next year's budget to help next year get started.
Yeah.
If you spend it, it won't be there to roll next year. So come March, when we're sitting here talking budget, there'll be a little less, there'll be that $100 and whatever thousand less dollars to run forward.
What about this 270?
ECD.
The 270 funds that were not actually in the budget, because I'm always conservative figuring my fund balance for one year rolling into the next, because I'm figuring it 3 months in advance, of course. That is above and beyond what was actually budgeted. But that's normally about standard for any one given year. So really, we also have that money at the beginning of the year to start the next year.
That's kind of.
So it's 6 of one, half does nothing.
It really doesn't matter which one it
One
comes.
and two is
We still
almost
got
the same.
$400,000, we still got a $400,000. We can take it, we can take it from either place.
The only thing that we're kind of leery about ECD, is like I say, the same kind of, one's in one fund, one's in one pot, one's in the other. It's like I say, we're doing the NEO thing, and that's where we are at ECD now, so.
Yeah, I don't want
There was $200,000 sitting there, we're gonna spend 75 to 100 probably down there on that project, that leaves that other 100. But, we really, once again, don't know what might come up on ECD or even in that project. This may be a surprise.
I've got the motion taken out of the general fund capital outlay of the 98,000. I don't get a second.
Okay, I have a motion to, correct me on how exactly you want me to be the motion.
I'll make a motion, I make a motion we approve the bid as is.
As is, with the money coming out of the 98,000, and then also out of capital outlay, the remainder out of capital outlay, is that correct?
That's it.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Well, I would second that.
Hurt, didn't it? Oh. I have a second. Is there any further discussion on Michael's?
With this, the discussion of this is that we know we can make some adjustment. Don't just swallow it as it is. We can, once we've accepted it, go back and look at line items, right?
We'll confirm that, yeah.
We can do some change orders, we need to talk.
But realize, we really truly, to be honest about it, we can make our changes, but we're looking at the most $50,000, maybe we can do $50,000 worth of change.
I figured 27.
Yeah.
27. So
Even if we do,
I'm way above that, so we're looking for, so realize that we talk about that.
The main part of the project, pretty much, we're saying.
And also, I want to be clear too, we really need to make sure the county is in the loop with us when we doing these things. We really need to sit down when we start doing these things, the county is in the loop with us, because it would absolutely be ridiculous if we go off one direction and they're in another direction. It's not going to.
especially landscaping and all that, we want it all to match up, we don't want it to be different.
I think we need to really make sure we stay in the loop together on that.
No,
Still in discussion.
My second came along, it hurt, yes. What I want the project to be, we may make some cuts at the start, but once it gets going, I know there's going to be change orders. They must be cost neutral. That if anything that changes
project, I'm not necessarily this one, but I have seen a project done, worked on before. They'll get started and you won't see nobody for 30 days. Is this,
I'll be
can be
honest,
prevented here and then, I just, once we start, you know, only going through this.
we have a time, and I don't remember exactly what it is, to finish the job. I want to say it's 8 months.
Okay.
I'm gonna swear to that.
180 days, but
I'm not sure, we've got.
Might be less than ours.
We've got.
Probably less than, might be less than ours.
On it, and the liquidated damage is beyond that. So there's an incentive for him to get it in there and get it, you know.
And then,
We weren't excessive with the time allowed.
and at the end of this project, then it will be done to our satisfaction. There'll be an inspection.
There'll be inspections every day the contractor's here, we'll have an inspector on the job. And-
But
and
for
at the-
us.
And at the end of the job, yes, there'll be a final inspection to make sure.
For our satisfaction.
Right. And we'll have monthly meetings that anybody's welcome to attend
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. All right. Okay. Thank you, Randy. All right, next item on the agenda is receive and give the board an update on the city-only local sales tax referendum that is approved, would continue to have cent local sales tax, with 50% going to the county school and the remaining 50% be used to lower city property taxes by 12%. As you know, that is going on the ballot the 22nd of January, which is a Thursday. Early voting starts the 2nd, day after. The matter of fact, we had a meeting today with the election workers, and Chief was doing her training on that today. We had a meeting with on the regular board meeting of the chamber. We met with the chamber, told them what we were wanting to do. The chamber supported that, and the chamber is going to do something, I guess, education to the public, why the chamber will support this, because of the lower. The big reason the chamber is supporting is the 12% decrease in property tax, whereas where your business owners are assessed at 40% on their property tax, this is giving them a 12% decrease. That's the big issue, the biggie for the, then also the school system too, getting the 50% of it. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Does any of the board members have any questions? Also, the ballot, I think we emailed you what the question would be. The same problem the county had with it. The state will not let you do, but read it in a certain way. We did get the word operative taken out, and it's approved now. So we didn't have that taken out, but the state is very strict on how they did. I think they will have a copy of our referendum, our resolution there. Am I correct on that? There'll be a copy. I know they're going to put a copy of the resolution in the paper. The election commission will.
It'll be published in the paper.
We published in the paper. The election commission will put a copy of the resolution which states the 12%. But the problem is it cannot state it on the ballot. The county couldn't put theirs on the ballot, and the state won't allow that. They're not going to allow ours either. It's just how they say that's coming straight out TCA. They can't do it. So we as a board need to make sure we educate the public exactly what we're going to do with it.
Well, it would seem to me that the city would be well to invest in some educational notices or something, bulleted items in the county paper indicating the fact that it is going to cut it, lead with the fact that it is going to cut property tax 12%. The other benefits, lay it out and let the people know ahead of time, even before early voting starts, try to run some ads, not ads, but I would call it
Just information.
informational notices as to have them understand exactly what the ballot issue is. I know that the last election had 4 statewide amendments that were hard to understand. And I'm afraid that we may run into the same problem. People will not see the benefit of this, that we need to run. And that would be something that I think, Mayor, you have some discretion
want to make sure that they will understand is on the 50% of the school system. By law, if it's only passed in the city technically can keep all of it if they choose to. And I think a concern the county has, rightfully so, is down the road, the city comes in 2 or 3 years down the road and say, well, we want all that. Since it's only passed in the city, we want all of that. With this being on the resolution, this being on the ballot, to say that 10 years from now, another board says, and they decide they want to do that, they will have to go back to resolution, just like we did here, to say we want to keep all of ours. Once they do that, that triggers that whole thing again, where the county has that option before ours can go on the ballot, and the county can put theirs back on the ballot to redo it, to make sure the school system gets half. So there's some hoops that have to go through if somewhere down the road another board tries to change that. So I think that was a concern a lot of people had, was that if we pass this, that 2 or 3 years down the road, another board can sit there and say, well, we want all of it. Well, you can't do it. You still have to go to resolution, and then once we go to resolution and say with that gives the county the option within 40 days, they can put it on the ballot to stop that. So that, in the big scheme of things, I just don't see that happen. So.
But it is counterintuitive to vote for tax. You know, when people just look at it on its face, it's just, you just don't do that, but that's why it needs to be explained.
It may in the long run, by setting aside that much every year for the county, that the county could put this to the school system, to the school system, might prevent having to.
The biggest problem we have, and I think the county may tell you, it's the biggest, not problem, but one of the things we see, we've honestly talked to the superintendent on this issue, is they're gonna get that 74 tax. Then along with this tax, that's $360,000. We're wanting them, and both of us have asked them, that if this goes through, to take that 360 and put it in capital outlay for a building of a new school. And we know what's coming. I think, they're 100 over this year, Mayor?
Yeah.
They're 100 over this year in the high school this year. So it's coming. It's coming down the pike. Because, like I say, the schools are getting bigger. So
And I know the money goes to the school system, not to the department.
the school system gets this, and the school system controls what they do with this. So that's the reason we're really trying to get them to understand what we're and I think talking to the superintendent now, I think we'll probably both eventually go talk to the school board at a meeting and ask them to put on their agenda to talk to them about it.
My only problem with the whole thing is if they don't agree to do that, if the school board doesn't agree to do that, then 4 or 5 years down the road, if they have to have a gun program, we'll go get the money. So they have got to do it almost. I mean,
But that's their comment. But on the side too is, this was able to do that, but if this thing usually got built, the DEP money was gonna do like 270-something thousand, and they got that DEP money back. Well, a good chunk of it, a substantial thing, so I mean, it is, that they do have that. But I talked to several of them, it's just to me, it's a way for them to get a capital outlay fund. 10 years or 5 years on this capital outlay would bring them probably almost $2 million. In just 5 years, they'd have $2 million, and that's a good start on what they need to do. So, but like I say, County Mayor right, it's their money. We got to get them to buy into it. I got lip service from some of them, but I mean, of course, saying they'll do it, but I mean, still they need to.
I think we probably, you and I probably need to go to their next school board meeting and make sure that's done.
There's two persons there, it's in January. I'll definitely go. Okay, next item on the agenda is considered bids received for painting the exterior of the city industrial building, 60 Record Drive. As y'all know, this is the one Neo's gonna do. If y'all remember, the estimate we thought the painting was gonna be 20. This is one we honestly got a break and it went under. What is it, 8 something?
8,300.
8,300, and it's, Craig Daniels was a low bid on that one, and so if you would, I'd entertain a motion to take the low bid on it. We checked, we set on the paint specs and everything else, met the paint specs we asked, because we were looking for a good paint with it. And so we got that was specs and everything met that, so.
On insurance.
That was gonna be my question, I'm assuming we have insurance on this, that are.
Yes, he did, the thing on regular bid, liability insurance, everything else, that he's supposed to
We're
require.
required to have these.
But he, like I said, this one was 80, we were bidding 20, got 80, got it for 83, so we're kind of pleased with that one, so. I'd ask him to take a motion on the low bid.
Make a motion, we accept the low bidder being Greg Daniel Payne.
Have that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify by no. Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda, item G, consider bids received on the compact excavator for the utility department. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. The utility department did go out to bid, it took us a while to isolate the specifications. On page G, is the breakdown of the bid results we did receive. Basically, a bid from the three main excavator dealers, Voda, Cat, and Bogner. We did additionally, and I wanted it separately broken out as a 2-year bumper to bumper warranty.
of our service lines. Is that right?
That is correct. That is the only piece of equipment I have to do that at this point, that's correct.
And this, you know, we just, I asked this question, because I said, I wasn't convinced that you need it, I need to be convinced.
Sure.
And we trench all our service lines, we trench all of our main lines. And this is gonna be used just strictly for digging up main breaks, and water main breaks, or is that what we're talking about?
It's used for, it can be used for installation of water mains, installation of gas mains, can be used for installation of service lines. We've had a few cases where it's very nice we've had this. And, then of course, all repairs. And you'll see it down on Casey Street, I guarantee it.
Okay. I know it'd be good down there, but what I'm asking is, we got all this, doing all this work with all these trenchers and stuff, and we don't really, this is gonna be used just to dig up things. I can't see what we're gonna do with all our trenchers.
Well, in this case, it's like a shovel and a rake, okay? I mean, they're just two different pieces of
I
equipment.
understand that,
Yeah.
but we've never owned one of these, we've been getting by so far without it.
Yes, sir, we have.
So I'm trying to.
I won't argue that. You know, all I can tell you is that I think it's a valuable piece of equipment that we can use. If you were out in the county, I can tell you that you've got.
I don't do your work, so I mean, I can't say yes or no, with it, how to be used. I'm just trying to wrap myself around the equipment we've got, and how it's gonna be used. And I know we've got backhoes that can dig up water mains, can dig up all kinds of stuff. And I know we've got trenchers that lay mains and lay service lines. And I'm just trying, and I understand how small this is. I realize that you can go places where the stuff can't. But anyway, that's all I need.
Question, $50,000, we're talking about, well, almost $50,000. If I ask the utility department, if you have $50,000, what is the most important piece of equipment you need right now for $50,000? Tennessee Regulating Authority, TRA. Mark.
I don't even know where to begin on this thing, except to say that traditionally, Henderson has always had a fairly decent gas system. And over the last, say, 10 years or so, we've really had a big emphasis on compliance because the Tennessee Regulatory Authority was having more and more pressure from PHMSA, which is the federal people that squash on to the Tennessee Regulatory Authority. Okay. Just recently, to my dismay, the Tennessee Regulatory Authority has had a complete turnover, and that was not voluntary. That was done by whoever in the state. But nonetheless, the people who were involved have never run a gas system, never operated a gas system, never seen a gas system, but they are now licensed inspectors. They go to federal school and they go out. What's really disturbing to me is that where situations, minor issue where you would get a notice of violation, say 90 days to make a correction, even if it was really a severe violation, they would give you, under the worst conditions, maybe a 72-hour notice of violation to correct. But just recently, for the first time that I'm aware of, and any other utility director that I know of, in fact, I just recently went to a gas meeting where out of 117 gas utilities that exist in the state of Tennessee, all of them were represented by more than 3 people. So there were several hundred people there. There was one utility that actually received a fine. Now, there was some complications, and I won't go into the details of why they were fined, but the fact is that they levied a fine. And it's very difficult. I wish I forgot to bring the CFR, the Congressional Federal Registry. It used to be about this thing, just for gas. Okay. They finally rewrote it, and it's down into some English now. But Larry Gorham, who was the chief for the Office of Pipeline Safety, has gone out and started his own consulting firm. I think it'd be wise to hire him for a couple of days to go through our records and make sure that we don't have any holes. I think a couple $1,000s of his time to ensure that I'm not overlooking anything. We did have an inspection, and it was a full inspection when they looked at everything, and they do it every other year. Absolutely no violations at all. We were considered to be 100% compliance. Okay, but it changes very rapidly. Every month there is new federal laws that come out pertaining to gas. And every time there's an accident, they go back and revisit that section of the law and reissue those. And I think it'd be a good idea just to make sure that the wording and the way that we have it formatted, we're not going to get ourselves in trouble when we don't end up with some, monetary fine. And this one particular city just felt that it was easier to pay it than it was to fight it, even though they felt that they were in the right. So anyway, I just wanted to inform you that we're heading into a new era with the TRA, something, we're in uncharted territory. I'd like to go ahead and spend the money we've got in the budget to do so. And it's kind of within our, mayor, I guess within the mayor's budget to approve. I just wanted to kind of inform you what's going on. And I'm not pleased with this at all. I think this is
What had happened was that a mayor in Northwest Tennessee, they were changed to the simple matter was, you don't have a problem, you may say anything about it. Simple thing about it was they had a gas, water, and electric department, and they had on-call people for each one of those departments. And they felt that they should have, they really only train people in gas. They had a fire, the electric guy goes out, turns out the electric can also turn off the gas too. So they were cross-training people, and they had done the cross-training and had done the schooling of it, but they didn't do what you call, I guess, the training that you do on site. In other words, they didn't have a supervisor go out and see this person turn this stuff off and demonstrate it, do it and everything, so they hadn't got that training. Well, what had happened is that a couple of employees were disgruntled because they were going to lose money on being, because they were going to put one car out, so they dropped a dime on the city. To be honest about it, that's what they did. They dropped a dime on the city. And so they come down and did a regular inspection on them, and this came out and they told them what they were doing. So they fined the city $11,000. And the city felt that they best would do to pay $11,000, so they paid $11,000 fine. And what it was that it was in their training. They had done the training and cross-trained, but they hadn't done a lot, I guess you'd say, the hands-on training. And that cost the city about $11,000. So I think when I was mentioning to Mark about that, he had said something about bringing somebody in to look at to go over our stuff to make sure that we are under compliance. And did you give me a cost on that? You did, I can't remember.
Like I said, I think we should spend no more than a couple $1,000s.
Just bring somebody in on the gas department.
Yeah, there's very specific manuals that he needs to review.
And there's some people that used to work for these companies that are now consultants and come in and help you on your compliance, and that's what we're looking at.
So you have a training budget?
We have money in place to do this.
We don't need a motion to do it. You just-
Well,
We were just gonna bring it to you, Kenny. I don't think we need a motion to bring it, but Mark was dancing around, he does that sometimes. He was dancing around the issue, but that's what it was. They had employees that didn't like, because they were looking at streamlining the department and thought they were gonna lose their own call money, and they dropped it down on the city.
I think
Yeah,
somebody
just
just
one
want
more
their
thing.
training, go ahead and get it done.
Yeah, let me just add one more thing. Tom Woosley, who had 27 years as an inspector there, was the inspector who came into that city. He found the violation. It was the chief who overruled his decision and issued a monetary fine. Okay, and they had never gone out. They'd never implemented the program. If he had offered this O&M manual instead of this one right here, they would never have had a discussion. Okay, all right. I mean, it was just, to me, it was nuts.
All right.
But I think we need a little.
Next item on the agenda is consider transferring excess funds from fire department volunteer salaries to the equipment purchase to purchase an air pack, SSBA. Chief.
We started an air pipe replacement program last spring, and we have one line item that once we write one check out of, we'll make any more money out of the rest of the year. And I asked the board last spring if we could start buying air packs without making money. I've got enough to buy one air pack in there, just short buying two, that's okay. I'd also like to ask that I found, while I was researching on my air packs, I found a company that's got parts that we have for our air packs that we can't buy anymore. There's $750 worth of parts there that we need to keep 4 or 5 air packs in service. So I'd like to get one air pack and add that $750 to it out of one account.
So to get your parts, make that parts.
How many have had?
One.
One plus.
One air pack, that's air pack, no,
We're not taking all the money, but $4,800 whatever one air pack costs. And I did get 2 bids on there.
So you want 4,800 plus 750
Yes,
out of
$5,556.
You want that out of that one line?
All right, and it'll leave a balance of $1,786.
I make a motion to approve the line item change.
Have a motion to approve line item change in the fire department. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, signify by no. Motion carried. Next item, consider the purchase of heavy duty turnout gear washer for the fire department. Chief.
We have been in a process for 4 years trying to buy a commercial washing machine. EMA had some grants we applied for to try to buy one. We're mandated by OSHA to laundry our turnouts twice a year because of the cyanide buildup in turnouts. And we've never been able to do it properly. This is a $5,400 washing machine, but it's a commercial washing machine. It's made to wash turnouts, which are very heavy. So it's a 45-pound washing machine. I've got money in my budget. We've been trying for 3 or 4 years to get all our pieces in a row to be able to spend it. My fire equipment purchase line is $12,000. This is a $5,400 investment. So we feel like we're in a good shape to be able to buy that this month.
It's only good to do it, but.
No, we had put $3,000 back in there for enforcement.
I think that back. Yeah, he got the grant, but we do have to grant.
Actually, I called your office today to make sure you were online with that, and you were right.
Do we need a motion on to move that 3,000 back?
Yeah, just to clear it up, yeah, I can't remember we did that as a motion or not. Remember he applied for a grant for US Forestry, we paid for that money out of his equipment purchase. And of course, we got reimbursed for $3,000 from the
So we
state.
need, that needs to go, that goes to the county and city general, so we need to move that money back.
Yeah.
As far as the motion, to move that money back to, we did the
So
motion.
he has 5,200 plus the 3,000.
Anybody can. That was pretty convoluted now,
Yeah,
kind of.
I wasn't even gonna start.
People move, they want to buy the water, you gotta get the money out of it, just prove it. All it needs is approval. to
We
buy
had to
water.
spend we had to spend $6,000 to get $3,000.
Right.
And what we spent the $6,000 on was getting ready equipment we had to have for the ISO. And so we had enough money to do it all, but we had to wait till we got $3,000 back before we could go forward with it.
Well, I moved that you get the heavy-duty turnout gear washer, but additionally, you can get that from that line item by moving that $3,000 grant from the general fund into your.
I have the motion to do that, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify by no. All right, back there. And under any other business, consider authorizing the mayor to sign a 6-month option to sell 63 acres in the city industrial park for a solar farm. Okay, was it last week? The end of last week, Jim and I had a meeting with Tracy Exum of ECD. A company by the name of Silicon Ranch Corporation contacted ECD looking for land to put solar farm. Give you a little history on the company. The company's CEO is Matt Kismus, I think everybody knows who he is. And on that board is the former governor, Bredesen is on that board too. And they put the solar farm. So they right now, we're looking at 3 to 5 sites, possible sites for the solar farm. They were needing 60 acres. McKinsey, we were trying to figure out how they were pricing it and everything. McKinsey had theirs at the old airport, and they priced it to about $7,000 an acre. As y'all know, the 60 acres you're looking at, what 60 acres we have left is the rolling hills, and that TBA, we tried to get a grant one time for some site prep, but TBA wouldn't do because it is what it is. It's rolling hills into a gully. But for the solar farm, that can work for the solar farm. And Jim did it, charged us out about, 63 acres?
Yeah, I scaled it on our GIS system, and it came up to be about 63 acres. The property runs from the north end, right up behind the tech school property, down next to Industrial Drive, next to the Henderson Health Center that we sold that property to them, behind Premier, and then comes back to Highway 45, and then goes down to a drainage ditch. The drainage ditch is just a natural thing to follow. There's no rhyme or reason other than the fact that when I measured it, it came up 63 acres roughly on our map. And we surveyed it, it's only very little bit.
And they've asked, they come back, and what they have to do now, they have to go to TBA in January with their packages, proposals, to get insurance, the money and stuff to do these solar farms. They want to put one in West Tennessee for sure. They're looking at 3 to 5 sites, but they're asking for a 6-month option to purchase that at $5,000 an acre, which is roughly a little over $300,000 for us. And they're just like I said, we won't know anything until after January if they get it, and then also if they choose our site. Let's be honest, it's a slim chance, but you know what that land is, and to be able to do that, if it did work out, it would be a good deal for us to get that 63 acres gone and make like I say, make a little over $300,000 on the 60 acres.
It'd be good then to take the 315,000, whatever, take it and get another industrial site.
Yes.
Yeah, but look for other industrial sites, that would.
Put it back in that general capital outlet, where we just pull that money out. I'm still sitting here thinking about that.
But I'm not realistic, y'all know, you know what that area is, you know what it looks like, but if
I
it's.
still got my money on all this money.
But let's be honest, solar panels can go up down hills. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not, they don't have to be flat level, they can go up down hill. So what we're asking, and I think, we sent the purchase order, the option on the purchase to Jerry. And he's kind of, like our school teacher, kind of redlined some of it and gave us some corrections he wants to go back with them on, which we would, what I'm asking y'all to do is give me the authority to enter in the option, as long as our city attorney agrees that this is okay, that it meets what he wants to have the option to read.
I'll make that motion if we give you the option to sign, permission to sign the option.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I think if we, realistically, if we could do this, this would be a good thing, a really good thing for us, and plus the good PR too, so. We'll see. All in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify by no. Motion carries.
Let's see if there's a good.
All right, next item will be consider authorizing Mayor King to select the best bidder for painting and flooring prepared of the basement. See, what we're doing is, y'all know, we put out bids on that, we're asking if we take if y'all give me authorization, take the low bid. And Jim, is there anything that's?
Yes, we're due on the 18th, and we just need to, and we can wait till the next January meeting, you want to bring them back, or you want to give them authority to go ahead and do it if we think they're a good bid.
Do we kind of set a cap on what we thought?
We have not set a cap. And I tell you the truth, I don't remember when they said the estimates we got added for the damage didn't include the entire painting of the entire walls like we're doing, or some of the flooring that we're replacing, well, it's not included. So really, we have no budget really to go on when we get the bids in. So, we think it's unrealistic, then we can always table it or, wait for the next morning. Let y'all go.
We'll make a motion to give the mayor, you the authority to sign the contract with the low bid if y'all think it's good enough.
Second.
Get a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda.
By the way, those funds will be coming out of the fund capital outlay.
Next item on the agenda, reappointment of members of the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, and Industrial Development Board. As y'all know, that every year we have to reappoint. What we do is we reach out and ask the ones that are serving, they still be willing to serve. This year, it was Patty Pickmer. I talked to Patty, she'll continue. Bobby Ruth of the Planning Commission, he says he'll serve. And then the other one is Cecil Warren, who's also our chairman of the industrial board. That's correct.
I included your packet list of everybody on the board, just where you know, the top one that's highlighted is the one we're replacing. So they'll be appointed to another term.
I'll make a motion that we appoint all three of them to continue on the appropriate board.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Have a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify by no. Okay. Next item, I got other business, Ms. Lynn here. MTASK does, every year they do the new elected officials academy. It's about a 2-day program for the elected officials 1, and then later on they'll do elected officials 2, another 2 days somewhere down the road. So they had contacted Jim and asked if we would host that here in our classroom. It would consist of about 25 will be also a good time, since we're hosting it, that we make sure we get everybody that needs to go who are just recently been elected, and some people who have been elected that hadn't went. It'd be a good time for them to go, since it's gonna be here. It's gonna be, it'll be a Friday afternoon, starting the first session, or about
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock to 9 on Friday.
Friday night.
Dinner will be served.
And then Saturday, it will start that morning at 8, and go to 2, and lunch will be served. And I'll be honest, I went through it, Johnny went through some of it, Michael went through it, it's a very good 2-day training. The nice thing about it is they tell Alderman, not so much what you can do, they do tell you what you can't do.